I'm joined now by author W.L. Hawkin, and for our viewers who may not know too much about you or your writings, could you just give us a little bit of information into your background?
That's an interesting question. I'm a Vancouver writer, but I came from Ontario. So came here to learn about, well, to become a teacher. Actually, is what happened. So I started out with a degree in Indigenous Studies and came here and had to take a whole English degree. So I taught high school for many years here, and partway through there, I had a lot of stress and I started writing. You know, introverted people should not become teachers in big high schools.
Now, at the beginning of February, you released your newest book, Lure. So, could you just tell us a bit about this book?
I wrote this, The Bones of Lure, 30 years ago when I was going through a divorce. And so I think in some ways it's about my desire for freedom and adventure. But at the same time, I was also just starting my degree at Trent University in Ontario in Indigenous Studies. And so a lot of that has come up too. I was doing a lot of healing in those places with Anishinaabe healers, teachers, elders, and really putting myself back together, body, mind, spirit, and emotions. And that comes through in the story too. So those pieces of it really inspired me. The story itself is set on a Chippewa reservation, this one, and it borders a little town called Lure River. So Lure River is a really kind of a quirky little town, but it has this expansive wilderness setting, and Minnesota, of course, is a haven to sportsmen and fishermen and hunters and all that. So that's going on in the background too. The story itself revolves around two people, Jesse and Hawk, and they are both hiding out on the reserve. They both suffered personal tragedy. They're both trying to heal. He's there hiding. She's there trying to find herself, and they're in two separate places. We've got this sort of a romance with a heartfelt mystery and lots of suspense, and then some major issues. So touching on missing and murdered Indigenous women, of course, inhumane animal trapping comes up fairly frequently, and dumping of garbage into lakes and rivers. So it's got some interesting stuff going on there.
If anyone is looking to get Lure or any of your other works, where should they go?
bluehavenpress.com is my website, and that's a really good place to find me. I'm on all the social media, but if you head there first, you'll find all my social media. But just before we go, I want to say a big shout out to someone in Lloydminster. So Alexa Blyan is a really amazing, she's an 18-year-old Indigenous woman, and she's an activist. And she read my book, and I was so impressed with, she wrote me a long quote, but one of the things she said was, this story brings readers to a place of compassion, understanding, and relation. And I hadn't thought that, but when I read it, I went, yes, it is. It's about compassion and it's about redemption. And I really love that because Alexa has so much going on around that. She speaks about missing and murdered Indigenous women. She speaks about healing and about people being taken. And she's working on a project called Digital Voices, where she's creating a safe place for people to tell their stories. And because we know that telling stories is healing, right? That's the keeping the secrets. That's not the healing part. So I just wanted to say to just shout out to her in Lloydminster, because it's just kind of great that you're there and she's there. And yeah, it's just a really nice.
That's great to hear you have that connection to the border city, but just why do you think it is so important that there is this book and, other books out there focusing on missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, and maybe educating those who may not know too much about that subject?
I think we need to change how we're thinking, first of all, our attitudes, and we really have to stop blaming victims, and we have to get over this idea that it's okay. I think our colonial, without getting too political, our colonial legacy has made it so that it's okay to do this, but it's not okay to do this. And so we need to change our mindset in that way. So I know there's a lot of nonfiction out there, but I think there's something really powerful about seeing these stories in fiction. And I know there's movies like Wind River, and there I just sometimes Longmire does this, sometimes Yellowstone, like to have that kind of really intense emotion around it. I think that affects people's hearts more so than just reading it at the nonfiction piece of it.
Thank you so much for your time today, WL.
Thank you.